Extra crispy crony capitalism. The Trump administration will reportedly continue paying Obamacare subsidies to insurance companies through next year, despite the president and the GOP's vocal opposition to the Affordable Care Act. The subsidies compensate insurance companies for covering low-income subscribers. Those subsidies have totaled $7 billion over the last few years, but because of the uncertainty of the ACA's future, insurers are projected to demand higher premiums, and those subsidies would then skyrocket. Peter Suderman joins me. He's a features editor at Reason Magazine. So is the White House in a tough spot here, having to continue paying these subsidies to insurance companies?
Of course they are. The Obamacare puts the White House, puts Republicans in a very difficult position here, because if the administration were to stop paying these subsidies, then what would almost certainly happen is that health insurance companies would pull out of the individual markets. We would see lots of people have their health insurance disrupted, and perhaps millions of people could lose their health insurance entirely. And so this is really kind of a sign of how badly Obamacare was put together and how much reform is needed. In fact, if you go back, the House Republicans have filed suit against this, against these subsidies, and have argued that they are illegal, right? And a year ago, a federal judge ruled that the House Republicans were right. And that the Obama administration did not have the legal authority to make these payments that they had been making. And part of the Obama administration's argument in that case was that this was a sloppily drafted law, and they kind of needed to, you know, do something to make it work and hold it all together.
I don't know. I don't even think it's sloppy. I think that this was just another form of corporate welfare for insurance companies to get them on board with Obamacare. And let's say that Republicans had succeeded and they had actually repealed and replaced Obamacare with the AHCA, would that have negated this problem for the White House?
It would have negated the problem of whether or not to continue making these payments, even though there are questions about the legality. However, the Republican bill made them legal. And so this is, again, the AHCA retains a lot of the kind of essential fundamental structure of Obamacare. This is one of the big criticisms of it. This is one of the reasons why Republicans had to drop the bill at the last minute and have struggled to get something else together, is because of this. And so this is, I mean, when you build a system like this, when you rely on a system that is Obamacare-like in nature, a big part of that means giving insurers money, whether that means giving money to people to spend, basically sort of to backstop insurers, whether that means, as Obamacare does, paying insurers subsidies directly. You end up having to give sort of to funnel federal money to insurance companies.
Yeah. And now what happens with the future of healthcare? I mean, how does this inform the process going forward? Because obviously the House Speaker and the Vice President have been working with the various factions in Congress to move forward with a new version of the bill. How does this change that process?
So what this does is there are two ways to look at it, basically. On the one hand, you can say that this provides some certainty for insurers and makes it likely that they will stay in the market this year. The insurers have really sort of talked about maybe we'll pull out of the individual markets that were set up by Obamacare, and maybe there'll be a death spiral next year. What this does is it makes it probable that insurers will stay in. On the other hand, it also leaves some uncertainty in place, because the Trump administration's statement on this was basically, well, precedent is that we keep paying these things. And so it would be fair to say that no policy change has been made, which means that a policy change could be made at some point. They might not follow precedent. It's unclear if House Republicans will even continue this suit. The suit was delayed after the election as Republicans looked and said, wait, now we are in charge of the Affordable Care Act, this incredibly messily and sloppily written statute, and we are the ones who are going to have to sort of pay the political cost for managing it. And so it is really a tough spot for Republicans, and it has been made tougher by the fact that Republicans have never really figured out exactly what they want to do to replace Obamacare.
7 years to do that, and I think that's part of the frustration. And it is said that no one's really sure if Obamacare is in a death spiral. I'm so dizzy, I'm pretty certain it's in a death spiral. Peter Suderman, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.